Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Simple Low Carb Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Corey Conklin. And for today's short episode, we're going to discuss total carbohydrates or net carbohydrates and which direction you should go. My personal choice and recommendation is total carbohydrates. It's simple. It's easy. You don't have to do math. You don't have to trust manufacturers in that they're telling you the truth on their packages, which we'll get into in a few minutes. And it's just total carbs is a much easier approach. Then you know exactly what you're getting. You know that in my case, I want to stay under 20 total carbohydrates per day. So I look at the total carbohydrates of what I've eaten, add it up, I'm done once I hit 20. Quick, simple, and easy. When you look at net carbs, it is very tempting to follow a net carbohydrate approach. And I understand that because, well, I can enjoy more things is the thought process behind it. We can go online and find all sorts of keto treats and foods and desserts that, well, the net carbs is 2 total carbohydrates. I'm sorry, the net carbs is 2 net carbs. But then you start looking at, well, how do you go from a per serving to pick on a keto dessert that has been recently launched? It's got 30 total carbohydrates, but yet the net count was either 2 or 4. And you have to trust the fact that what they're putting on the label is correct, that the math that they're doing when they subtract out fiber and sugar alcohols and other fillers and stuff that they use to get that fuzzy math to look really good on the front of the package, they're honestly telling you the truth. And there have been some companies, one of them specifically a bakery, that started selling keto breads and wraps and so forth across the country. And they were proudly proclaiming their really low net carbohydrates. And some people kind of wondered, especially after they tried it, they tested their blood sugar like they normally would, and they come back to find out, I'm reacting to this as if I was eating a lot more sugar and carbohydrates. And so they finally said, that's it. And they sent the product off and had it independently tested. And they come to find out that what the package said was absolutely nothing to do with what truly was in the package. Their numbers were way off. They were sued for it as a result of that. So you have to trust the manufacturers, and you have to trust the marketing departments behind the manufacturers. Years ago, at a place I worked at, you got the engineers and you got the marketing team, and the engineers design something, and then the marketing team gets into telling you, well, this is what it really does, despite the fact the engineers are back there going, that's not what it does. And sadly, that's what a lot of these companies that are trying to make a quick buck, they're not truly worried about your health. They want to make money. And that's why you see a lot of the big names coming into, we'll pick on Slim Fast selling all these quote unquote keto products that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, because they use substandard ingredients that aren't good for us, such as seed oils. And again, you got to trust that fuzzy math, and it usually does not work out. So if you're trying to, on a standard 20 net carbs, you got to trust what is on there. And then, of course, you're going to have to do some of that figuring out yourself too. That adds to the confusion and so forth. The simplicity of total carbohydrates, first of all, cannot be beat. Again, look at the total carb count. Count it up. When you hit the number that is set for your body, you stop for the day. Quick, simple, and easy. Also, with a total carbohydrate count, you know exactly how your body's going to react to the total amount of carbohydrates that you've eaten. And not sitting there wondering, well, I had 20 net, and with some of the math that you can do, you could have truly eaten 70, 80, or 100 carbohydrates for the day. And that's a good reason why a lot of people are on a weight loss stall, or it seems like nothing's happening, because they're eating a lot more carbohydrates than they think. And the math is not working out. So once they switch to a total carbohydrate and stay under 20 total carbs, complete about change. They start losing weight again. They get back to the direction that they were going. So it is a hotly contested topic. I know people on both sides of the issue, and I have friends that do net carbs. I have many that do total carbs like myself. Now, long term, if you're somebody who has been keto or low carb, you've reached your ideal weight or where you want to be for your health and so forth, you may be able to do a net carb approach. I wouldn't recommend a net carb. What I would do is increase total carbohydrates. So if you've been doing 20 total carbs for years now, you're where you want to be, bump it up to 30, see how your body works, bump it up to 40, and, tweak it, find out where your body works best with that. I have an episode coming out with Dr. Westman and Amy Berger. As I record this, it is coming out on Monday, September the 21st, that they've got a book coming out that discusses exactly this, to figure out where your total carbohydrate count lies. If you actually do that as compared to trying to do the fuzzy math with net carbohydrates, you'll be much more successful. And it'll work much better for you, from not just my opinion, but from talking to many other people and seeing how others have reacted to a net versus a total carbohydrate. So my recommendation, and the recommendation of many of the people I want to have on this podcast, is stick with total carbohydrates. It is definitely much more simple. It's a lot easier. You don't have to figure things out and wonder, well, did I eat too much or did I eat not enough? Stick with total. Quick, easy, don't have to worry about it. And then you don't have to trust what some of these manufacturers are putting on their packaging. And when they say, oh, I have a net count of 2 or 3 carbohydrates. Well, how do you, again, like I said, how are they getting from 30 and 40 carbs to 3, 4, and 5? What are they using? Some of the ingredients that they use to do that are quote unquote fiber, and yet they're ingredients I would not want to put into my body. And so you have to be careful with that. Whereas sticking with a total carbohydrate count makes it a whole lot easier. Also, one of the things we want to do on our Thursday podcast is feature some products that I think will be beneficial to you, and explain some of our products that we have. As see here, if I can slide the right way with my Select Savory Seasonings t-shirt on. If you're listening to the podcast, check out our YouTube channel at to search for the Simple Low Carb Lifestyle Podcast on YouTube. It should come up there for you. And today we're going to just quickly talk about one of our best-selling products. Now, I started Select Savory Seasonings back in 2017. It was December is when I came up with the idea. The company launched in May of 2018. And the reason I came up with the company was I was shopping for barbecue rubs. And at the store, they had 50 or 60 different rubs on the shelf. And every one of them started with sugar as the main ingredient. And sometimes had 2 or 3 different kinds of sugar. And yet when you look at the nutrition label, it says 0 carbs and 0 sugar. And the way they can do that is they use such a small serving size, which is almost always a 1/4 of a teaspoon. If it's less than, I believe, 0.5 carbs, they can round it down to 0. So the government gives them that leeway. And so they, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's make it a really small serving size so we can say there's no sugar, there's no carbs. And yet sugar is the first and sometimes the first and second ingredient in many of these products. So I stood in the store back in December of 2017, took a step back and said, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to start my own company to help other people. So I started Select Savory Seasonings to help those of you who are sick and tired of being sick and tired by helping you make good, tasty food that's good for you so that you can lose weight, get healthy, and feel amazing. And today, we're going to discuss our best-selling product, which is our Select Savory Seasonings Ranch-tastic Seasoning. First of all, the ingredients list is onion, garlic, salt, parsley, black pepper, and dill weed. If you go look at the ranch packets on the shelf, they usually have MSGs in them. They sometimes can have cornstarch and several other ingredients. Maltodextrin is the one I'm trying to think of, which basically your body reacts to maltodextrin just like as if it was sugar. It's full of fillers and junk with a little bit of flavoring to give you that ranch flavor. Our Ranch-tastic Seasoning is fresh, gourmet, small batch produced, and we actually have package on dates on all of our products. We do not put expiration dates on them. We put package dates. So this one in particular was packaged on June 18th of this year. And seasonings have a roughly 2-year shelf life. So you can look at this and add 2 years to the year, and you know how long it has till the flavor starts to dissipate. It doesn't necessarily go bad, but the flavor does tend to become less potent after about 2 years. So with our Ranch-tastic Seasoning, as I said, it is our best-selling seasoning. I was at a keto conference last year, and people's like, well, what do you use it on? And my response every single time was, I put it on everything. Of course, a smart aleck came along and said, do you put it on ice cream? Okay, I put it on everything but ice cream. And that's not an exaggeration. Put it on my scrambled eggs. I have put it on my bacon. I put it on my sausage for breakfast. Meatloaf, hamburgers, casseroles. Mississippi pot roast is a very well-known recipe that people always use ranch on. On our website, which I've got up here, I've got several recipes on here that our Ranch-tastic is used in, such as our low-carb crockpot Ranch-tastic cheeseburger soup, zucchini hash, barbecue bacon cheeseburger casserole, our chaffle and sausage gravy recipe, bacon wrapped meatloaf, keto hamburger helper, Scotch eggs, roasted radishes, which are a great substitute for potatoes, just roasted red radishes. They also work well if you throw them in the crock pot if you're making a pot roast. Just another side there. Stuffed mini sweet peppers, page 2, Parmesan crusted pork chops, pan-fried zucchini chips, stuffed zucchini boats, you name it. We've probably put ranch on it. It's great with all meats. It's great on seafood. I know people that love it on their shrimp. I am not a seafood person. My family is. I'm not. I'm the oddball in that regard. But it's also great on seafood so fish, shrimp. It's good on all vegetables. That's why I literally say with our Ranch-tastic seasoning, it is good on everything. So how do you use it? We always recommend using less than what a recipe calls for. So if it calls for 2 tablespoons, start with half that, because our seasonings are so fresh. They're that much more potent, and the flavor is much fuller. A lady at KetoCon bought some of our California granulated garlic, went back to where she was staying for the conference, made pot roast, came back the next day and said, thank you for telling me to use half of what the recipe calls for, because if I'd used what it called for in garlic, it would have been way too much. And then just season it and go. So making hamburgers, mix it in with the burgers. You can even sprinkle some on the outside. But just like any other seasoning or spice, mix it in with your food and adjust the taste. Start with a little bit less, add more if you need it. But our Ranch-tastic seasoning truly is good on everything. We thoroughly enjoy it. It is our best seller by far. What comes in second place is our savory taco seasoning. And even then, the Ranch-tastic outsells it almost 2 to 1. So our Ranch-tastic seasoning is, everyone who tries it loves it. They buy it. They buy it often because of how good it is, how much flavor it has. And of course, it's clean, it's healthy, it's not full of garbage. Again, I mean, the ingredients are onion, garlic, salt, parsley, black pepper, and dill weed. Now you may be thinking, well, how do I try this Ranch-tastic seasoning? Well, relatively simple. Go to selectsavory.com and check out all of our select savory seasonings on the website. And if also use coupon code podcast, that'll give you 15% off your first order with a coupon code. And that's good not just for our select savory seasonings, it's also good for our select savory snacks, which are on there. We'll talk about those in another episode. But check out the website, selectsavory.com. Remember that the coupon code podcast will give you 15% off your entire order. If you spend $69.99 or more, you will get free shipping, and that'll be anywhere in the continental United States. Also, if you sit there and look at the website and go, man, I really love this seasoning, send us an email at info@selectsavory.com and let us know what you'd like to see. Let us know products that you would like to have that are either meat snacks, seasonings, and eventually we're going to get into sauces. We're not quite there yet. So barbecue sauces, dressings, mayonnaises, hot sauces, so forth and so on. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review to let others know that you enjoyed it. And we'll be here again, talk to you next time.